Hi there, welcome back to the Apatros review. In this episode, Zombie Nation, directed by Ulli Lommel in the year 2005. The worst zombie film ever made. Hi there, welcome back to the Apatros review, your guide to the wild world of science fiction action horror cinema with me, your host, Milo Sepka. And this is the first of my Arthouse Atrocities episodes for this year. Now in this episode, we'll look at the film Zombie Nation, which was a film that was directed by Ulli Lommel in the year 2005. And if you've watched my reviews of the past year, since last year, you'll probably know about Ulli Lommel. Now, this film had a release it was on an American festival at the 30th of March 2005, and on the 19th of December 2006 at its USA DVD premiere. Now, there is a common misconception amongst certain movie-going circles that if a film has constant superfluous shots of pointless things like tree branches swaying in the wind, or numerous discussions and dialogue about nothing in particular, that seems the film is of an intelligent nature and therefore grown up. In reality, that is not the case. This type of film is commonly known as Arthouse, a genre of film that caters to people who don't like standard narratives and who think that most mainstream movies are nothing more than dumb popcorn films made for the masses. The Arthouse genre consists of films that are pretentious, extremely boring, highly political, and highly experimental. These films are best to be avoided, since they go against the very nature of cinema, which is a medium of escapism. Okay, so we return to the world of Ulli Lommel, that pioneer of 1970s German New Wave cinema, who became a cult name during that decade with films like his masterpiece Attendants of the Wolves, moving to the USA to make cheesy horror flicks like his biggest hit The Boogeyman back in 1980, only to find himself seriously out of funds once he divorced his actress wife Susanna Love, only to hit upon the notion of making ultra-cheap serial killer films with cheap digital video stock during the 2000s, giving him a fearsome reputation as the genre's worst-ever director. Zombie Nation was Lommel's first US-made post-millennial film, and the only one of his post-millennial output to have zombies in it. All the other ones were serial killer films. The film was made on a frighteningly low budget of only $1,500 US. That's 1,500, and actually looks like it was made for less. The film, since its release back in 2005, it came out in Australia in 2006 on the Peacock Films label as one of their rental-only releases, only to wind up being acquired by Flashback Entertainment a year later, and thousands of copies of that sold in practically every $2 shop in Australia during the late 2000s and early 2010s, has effectively gained a reputation as being one of the worst films ever made, and a film that only the most hardcore film masochists can stomach, and even they find this one an endurance test to sit through. It came out right at the beginning of the 2000s zombie boom. It was originally made in 2004 but had its proper premiere in early 2005, and seems to be Lommel's somewhat ham-fisted satire of the zombie genre, given that this can very easily be taken as a comedy, or for any jokes it does tell, it falls flat in their face. Gunter Ziegler plays Joe Singer, an Alabama-raised but heavily German-accented former soldier with tours in Iraq and Afghanistan under his belt, now working as an LAPD street cop. His former colleagues in the military are now running the police precinct he works at, protecting him from any accusations of police brutality. Of course, Singer is also moonlighting as a serial killer, randomly picking up various women and killing them by lethal injection while his partner remains outside in their squad car, unaware of what is going on in the building and also what's in the body-sized duffel bag Singer brings out of his furniture shop home/killing zone. Before he begins to suspect foul play, but when he raises the matter with his superiors, he is shit-canned to desk duty and his house is raided by Singer's buddies. 3 weeks later, Singer's past comes back to literally bite his ass when the 5 women that he's so far killed come back to life as raccoon-eyed zombies. One of them had the foresight to have a voodoo spell put out on her before she was killed, who all decide to use their second chance at life, becoming protectors of the weak, and their first order of business is to track Singer down and take him down. But there's a little thing they don't know about being zombies. I mentioned that Zombie Nation had a budget of only $1,500. It most certainly looks it. All the interior shots of the various characters' apartments and homes, even the police station, are shot in the very same warehouse, with many pieces of furniture being used in multiple areas, and the section of said warehouse that features a cop shop is atrociously ridiculously unconvincing. Indeed, this might be the worst attempt at portraying a police station outside of 1970s Don Dollar alien invasion flicks. With the heating and water pipes of the warehouse clearly visible, and the paint only going up halfway in a pathetic attempt to make the film look convincing. Although the stenciling job for the precinct name looks okay fun. And, well, with even the ridiculous sight of a Chinese gong placed in the background of the precinct visible in many shots. What the hell was up with that? I've never seen a police station with a Chinese gong in the background. The acting is all done by amateurs. Some of them will do surprisingly okay in their minimally sketched roles, although the dialogue they're forced to recite tends to go into some seriously weird territory. One priceless example would be the brother of one of the victims, the one who had the voodoo spell put on her, when he's being interviewed by a news report. "I'm not worried about my sister. She's very strong and protected." "Protected? You mean by the police?" "No, no, no, no. She went to see some voodoo priestesses." You can see just how bad it's going to get as you watch it. Lommel, being an actor himself, even writes himself a cameo appearance as Dr. Melnitz, a shrink who is sent to evaluate Singer as part of his buddy's attempt to cover for him, examining Singer's house while saying is it safe a total of 11 fucking times, and then disappears from the movie without being mentioned again. Just like the character of Vitalio, Singer's original partner, who is written out of the script without a plausible explanation of his fate. Even David Hess, a horror legend himself, gets a brief role here as Singer's father, although Hess puts on a fake German accent that sounds much more convincing than Gunnar Ziegler's one, and Ziegler's one is actually real from the looks of it. As for the zombie component of the film, I will put myself in the position of shadow advocate here and explain what Lommel's perception of the zombies is, since many people somewhat misinterpreted the zombie women featured here. For starters, the women's perception is altered, giving many people here see them as rotting corpses, while others see them as living, breathing, okay, maybe not exactly breathing, raccoon-eyed women. But so that explains the somewhat continuity be damned looking mirror shots. As for their behavior, most people think that zombies are nothing more than rotting flesh-eating corpses that either walk or run, depends on one's tastes. The reality is that zombies are deeply intelligent, and it depends on what creates the zombies. Some zombies are intelligent, others are not, and there's plenty of examples of different kinds of zombies, like for example the Universal Soldiers, the Totem Corps, and other kinds of Nazi zombies, and some other zombie films like the Reanimate and Return of the Living Dead franchises. So in terms of zombie behavior, there's nothing egregious about these ones. In fact, I'll go out on a limb and say that the idea of the murdered women coming back as zombies who decide to become protectors of their saved ones, even becoming police officers, was actually a pretty decent idea. But it will actually make for a pretty decent film one day if somebody tries to do a much better job of it. But so far, Lommel pretty much stuffs it up in that department. So the execution, it's a good idea, but the execution is far short of it. As for their appearance, well, that's a matter of the viewer's suspension of disbelief. Although their clothes shouldn't look too clean given they've been buried for weeks on end. Oh, and not all zombies need to eat human flesh. In fact, while zombies have been on screen since the early 1930s, they only acquired their taste for human flesh in 1968 when George A. Romero made Night of the Living Dead. And there have been plenty of films since then where the undead don't eat people to survive. Usually like zombie soldiers. Now, having said that, I will concur with people saying that the makeup is bad. I've never seen zombies with their eyes overloaded on eyeliner. It kind of matches the legendarily atrocious makeup on the Nazi zombies of Zombie Lake for zombie makeup ineptness, although here the makeup doesn't seem to wash off so easily. The music switches from being public domain source material over to a series of cues of generic musical scores made by somebody who, at the very least, knows their stuff in the scoring field, if not particularly that well. In fact, there's one track during the end credits, Wicked Boy, which sounds halfway decent. Even while I somewhat defend parts of this film, the reality is that Zombie Nation is most certainly the worst zombie film ever made, and that anyone who loves the zombie genre will regard this as the ultimate zombie endurance test. If you're a zombie film completist, this one will be necessary for being included in your collection as the worst of the bunch. It will balance out your collection nicely, but you need to have the stomach for it, and you should not pay more than $5 for it. And if you don't like it, just don't watch it. Just keep it as a little booby trap. Also to show your friends if they ask you what's the worst zombie film you've ever seen. Okay, now for the gore. There's a little gore here and there, including a tongue bitten off, an eyeball torn out of its socket and some bloke's John Thomas being eaten as well. The cheap gore looks completely unconvincing. As for nudity, Martina Botich, you said Botich, whatever, who plays the Romanian victim. By the way, I've never heard of women from Romania being involved in voodoo. She's probably into some seriously weird shit back home. Has her breasts exposed while she's being murdered. They look like they've been augmented implants, but I could be wrong. Now, Zombie Nation gets the dreaded D-, a 1 out of 10 rating. It is a piece of hitsa that was left out in the sun on a hot summer's day, and also it smells so bad you'll want to keep clear of it. Although, if you are a zombie film completist, and you think you've seen the worst zombie films ever, try tracking one of these down, and you're going to be surprised at it. This is definitely the worst zombie film ever made. And also, don't pay more than $5 for it. Okay, that's it for that one. Now the Arthouse Atrocities, there will be a couple more Ulli Lommel films I'm doing this year, so keep an eye out for that. Also, I do not do requests, but if you want to know of a particular film in my collection, just hit me up in the comment section. Also, if you want any certain types of horror film that you might want me to review, I'll let you know if there's anything in that genre coming up. Okay, I hope you guys are staying safe. Take it easy, and that's it for this review.